Welcome to our second ever CYPHER Pro Tips. Today we're going to be talking about CYPHER Agent for Learners. We're going to be introducing it. Next week, just so you know, next week we'll be doing a live demo of CYPHER Learning with our CEO, Graham Glass. As some of you may know, he is hands-on with our AI solution. He's going to give you a really great deep dive. So today what we're really talking about is the business value, the overview, and how you might choose to roll this out and adopt this at your organization. So just so you know, you can send a chat directly to me. However, I ask that you put questions into the Q&A. That way I can track them and report on them and share them out after the fact. Unfortunately, our fearless head of product, Mark Schuster, is not here today to tackle some of these questions live. I will do my best to answer everybody's questions, but if I can't, if they're in that QA box, then I will be sure to answer them and send them out in the follow-up email. So let me, without further ado, bring up my presentation and we can get started. So we are here for CYPHER Agent for Learners. My name is Caitlin Bigsby. I'm Director of Solution Marketing here at CYPHER and have a very, very long history in the learning world and the world of HCM in general. So what is CYPHER Agent? Some of you might be familiar with CYPHER Copilot. That was our initial rollout of this sort of assistant, AI assistant. We have done a little bit of reworking, retweaking, rebranding as we evolve our AI strategy and evolve our AI offerings. So let's start with some of the terminology so you know what we're talking about, or when you read some things, you'll understand what the terms are. When you hear CYPHER AI 360, that's really our philosophy about AI. We believe that AI is a tool that can be used for every persona, for every step in the learning journey. So we're looking at this as a holistic approach to where and how we leverage AI. But it's a strategy. It's not a thing. It's not actually a thing that you use. But our goal for AI, like I said, is purposeful, it's guided, and for every persona. So for the instructors, for your partners, for managers, employees, everywhere we can inject AI in a useful and responsible manner, that's where we're going to do it. So we're still starting in our journey, but that is our goal. And I said that is how we're thinking about things. So it's a commitment to providing AI-powered capabilities throughout. And our goal is to really streamline some of those repetitive tasks and make them move a little faster so that you can put your effort into the real value add pieces and create more engaging learning experiences for learners so that your learners can get more out of the system, instructors and managers and so on. So we're trying to make this a reality for you, and we are well on our journey. We have CYPHER Agent for course creators. And now today we're talking about CYPHER Agent for Learners, and there will be more CYPHER agents that we talk about. So quickly, why the move from CYPHER Copilot to Agent? Well, aside from the fact that Microsoft kind of bogarted the Copilot term and has made it a little difficult for the rest to use it, there is actually also a technical difference between the two terms. So a Copilot is sort of an AI assistant designed for collaborating and automating tasks. So yes, that's sort of familiar. But what an agent's a little bit more autonomous and a little bit more purposeful and can be a little bit more directive in the outcomes. So we've gone from Copilot to Agent because Agent is a bit more reflective of what our solutions actually do. They're a little bit more of sort of think of it as a little sidekick, a little buddy who can actually do a lot more for you than simply automate a few simple things. Which brings me to CYPHER Agent for Learners. If you need a refresher on CYPHER Agent for course creators, we have some really great material and walkthroughs on the website. There are a couple of hidden slides in this deck. So if you download the deck later, you can get the really, really quick overview of what's there. But it is all there. We can do another session on CYPHER Agent for course creators down the road. Today, we are focusing on our latest, which is CYPHER Agent for the learner persona. And this is really going to, it's not going to replace the courses that you create, but it's really going to augment the experience and make the LMS a real destination. And that is because, why behind the agent for learners is that learners are really craving what they need right now, those answers kind of in the moment, and specifically for them. Partly because there's a lot of change going on for them at work, and they're often being put in positions they've never been in before with gaps in instructions, and they want to be able to turn to learning to help them adapt during those periods. They want training anytime, anywhere. They don't want to have to wait on it being developed. They want to be able to, get the answer when they need it. And they want their training to be really relevant to them. And of course, that poses a challenge to course creators and administrators and L&D professionals, because it's really, really difficult to be everywhere all the time with exactly the right answer for all the people in your organization, especially when the organization and the world around us is just changing so quickly. So the CYPHER agent for learners, so it is an AI-powered agent, and the beauty of it is, it lives inside the LMS, so it knows that learner job, it knows their profile, it knows the training history of the learner, and it can learn more about the learner over time from their behavior and their interactions with it. So it already kind of has a sense of who the learner is. It will suggest topics for the learner to ask about just from the moment they open up the agent window. And it has just a really easy to use chat interface, which I think we all understand. But I think what is a little bit different about the chat interface of the agent versus, say, a ChatGPT agent is it requires far less careful prompting. It's very simple to just plop in just a subject, and the agent can kind of return the information that's going to be valuable without a lot of massaging, without a lot of tweaking. It has a pretty good sense, again, of what you're looking for based on you, based on the fact that it is a learner agent and not just a generic LLM. So this is the screen that the learner would access. It's just accessible. There's a little icon in the bottom right of the screen. Learner opens that, they get the screen, they plop in their question, and then they just click go. And the information that is initially generated, there's a little bit of an overview that I chose to just crop out of this screenshot, and that shows you this beautiful concept map. Now, the question in the middle is the question that I asked. It is a very technical question. This is actually a real live question from a real live civil engineer who had a question about the program that they need to use. And I really wanted to test this with like a practical, deep question, not something really general, like how do I have a hard conversation? Not that that's not good information, but I really wanted to test for you something quite deep. Now, if you're able to see more closely, the concept maps have kind of tackled this question from a bunch of different angles and grouped those responses into 20 different individual responses that are then grouped again into four categories. Presenting the information like this allows the learner to either, if this is a brand new topic for them, they can go through it in a really nice and orderly fashion. They can pick and choose what they want to look at. If there was really something specific that they wanted to know, it allows them to zero in right on that particular topic without going through the rest of it, or maybe go to that topic and then go to the others later. But it's a really nice way of organizing the information, making it easier for the learner to find what they're looking for right away, while also getting a sense of the big picture. And just to give you a contrast, I typed that exact same prompt into ChatGPT. This is step one. I think there were 4 steps altogether. Very basic. It was a really quick how-to. There was no context about when or how you might want to do a certain thing, the function of these set lines, nothing. It was just a really, really dry list about that long of which might be maybe what you need, but if you're truly trying to understand how to use and put something into your day-to-day life, the concept map is much more educational versus this really kind of dry, check the boxes, make it happen. So like I said, learners can dig into the topic, so they can pick the ones they want to see. But the other things I wanted to call out here is that the content is actually cross-checked. So again, if you can see up here in the corner, there's a little section that says accuracy verified. And as the content is being generated, you're going to see this sort of bar go across going verifying accuracy. And we do that with a secondary AI model. It's completely independent from the AI model that's generating the content. And the role of this AI model is to check the accuracy of the content being generated, to look for hallucinations, look for conflicts, and then surface those so at least the consumer is aware that there are conflicts and maybe there are things that they need to dig in a little different. We also have the cross-check available in Agent for course creators. It's going to be thrown everywhere because obviously in education, accuracy is paramount. But this cross-check thing is in every little piece. Every time there's new content being generated, it's being double-checked. The type of content being offered here is relevant to the learner, not just because they asked the question, but it understands, again, the learner's role in the company, their education level, and what it is that they're looking for. And it's explorable. So again, we're going from here, picking a topic that we want to look into and getting this additional information. And furthermore, there's the box down here where I can say, you know what, tell me more about this topic. I need to know a little bit more about how this works, or I don't understand this term. Can you give me some clarity? So you can keep interacting with the content at any point. And I think the other piece that is really so critical, if we're going to trust the use of this and feel good about this being out in our system, and it's something that, of course, you can have with the agent within the LMS that you're not going to get with free use of an LLM, is that there's that cross-check, that verification of the content to look for said hallucinations, discrepancies, and so on. We also have guidelines. So there's an area in the administrative side of the agent for learners where the admins can say, you know what, these topics are off limits. We want, or flip side to that, just say responses need to be relevant to the work we do, and we do this kind of work. So you can put some guardrails around how the agent can be used so that, well, whatever makes sense for you as an organization. And finally, you also get to report on the queries that people are using. And certainly, if you choose to use that sort of as a, making sure everybody's behaving, you can. I don't know that that's always necessary. However, it's also a really great insight into what are people interested in? Where can you expand on the learning? It's not a black box. You sort of know how people are leaning on this tool, and you can leverage that to do more things and more useful things. You can really build on that. So the big question, of course, is how is CYPHER Agent different from ChatGPT or a similar style LLM that we're also familiar with? One, ChatGPT is going to return it to you, usually just in a wall of text. They're really great with their emojis and their numbering system, but it's still just a long line of text. Whereas CYPHER Agent is really structuring the information for learning, for exploration, which allows it to pull in a little bit more topics and add a little bit more context to the question and make it easier for the learner to get to what they're really looking for. Answers are not independently validated. You're working with that one AI system, whereas we have cross-checks. We have a couple of systems working independently, but overseeing each other to make sure that we're on track. It's a single AI service. When you use one of these, we're leveraging multiple services. I believe we have at least 7 services that we're using at the moment, and we choose our services based on what they are best at. Now, this is actually a shock for me. I thought that if you had premium, then that meant what you put in there kind of stayed within yourself, but that is actually not true. If you have an independent, you have a license with ChatGPT or premium ChatGPT, it will still fold your prompts and your information into the Hive mind. Whereas prompts and data are going to stay in CYPHER and are proprietary to your organization. Of course, there's no guardrails with ChatGPT. People can use it for whatever, whereas here, administrators can set guardrails. It's going to take a quick moment to see if there are any questions. Shay, could you check the question box and just see?
Oh, there was just one question from Jason Tanner asking about the concept maps. And he asked, are the concept maps created by the course creator or AI? If AI, what is needed to do the job?
Okay, so the concept map here that I was showing you, that is generated by the AI for learners. So the administrators don't have to do anything. Remember, this whole experience is for the learners with no active involvement from the administrators or course creators. So the learner enters their prompt, hits upload, and the agent finds the content and organizes it into the content map. So it's done with each query, with each question that's put in there is a new content map. So to get that complete walkthrough, by the way, this might you can get it really deep into how this works. I'll be May 14th, so 6 days from now. And Graham will go through it live with you, and he'll go through some more details. There's some really cool ways that you can tie, or the plan is to tie agent to skills and skills gap closing. And he, of course, is deeply involved in the product direction, so he'll be able to give you some really deep technical questions during the live demo. May 14th, that is at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. All right, so what is the value of CYPHER Agent? Is this just, a novelty or a toy? No, it's not. This is about bringing immediate answers to everyone. So they can use it in a few different ways. One is just, answering that question, like how do I do this thing? Like the previous question, how do I do lines in Civil 3D? How do I create a pivot table? How do I structure a funding grant? Anything that's sort of useful that I just need to know kind of how to, I need a little bit of context. I need to understand how all the pieces fit together, and I need to do it right now because something has to get done. You can also use it to develop some skills. It can give you any question about how to be a better employee, how to be a better manager, how to deliver feedback, or do presentations like this and feel confident talking in front of people, and it'll give you some ideas about how to apply that at work. So a way to just really develop yourself on a topic that is of interest to you and maybe isn't currently present in the catalog. And then finally, I think this is a really nice option, is that it augments the learning that you already have. This is a place where learners can go maybe to ask some questions about some existing training that they didn't get clarity on, or maybe they didn't have the background going in that was needed, or maybe because of language barriers, they want to explore the content a little bit more in their native language. You do have the option, of course, we support 50 or more languages, so you can generate the answer in the language that works for them, or adjusting for reading level, like basically sort of inclusive accommodations for what people need to just really augment their learning experience with the existing content that you are already offering. So they're going to get immediate answers when they need it. It's going to be personalized for their job, for their experience, for what they're looking for their language, and so on. It's super easy. You don't need to know a thing about AI. You don't need to know where to go. You don't need to feel comfortable with it. You just plop in your question and away you go. And they can trust that the answer is verified. Likewise, for you as administrators, you now have this really great opportunity to offer super inclusive learning. You don't need to worry about whether that one piece of content you have can reach like the people at the highest level and the people at the lowest level. You can kind of do the level that you need and augment it with the agent in the middle, allowing people to add more as they need it. You can scale your catalog. I know one of the really hard things right now is making sure that your learning budget goes as far as it can, and you can't offer a course for every single need that crosses your desk. You really have to prioritize. So this is a way that learners can still answer their questions, and you don't have to have a course for absolutely every possible scenario under the sun. It's secure. So the answers are secure. The interactions with the AI is secure. It's not going out into the Gen AI hive mind. And the answers are verified. So you can feel confident and safe as your learners are using it. And you can learn about your learners because there is that reporting on how people are interacting with the system. You can actually learn what people are choosing to ask about, which I think is a really great opportunity. If you've heard whispers of people maybe wanting to learn more about data analytics, and you suddenly start to see 5, 6, 7 people exploring topics like that, that could be a really good indicator that it's an area that warrants something a little bit more formal. And finally, this is an amazing way to bring your learners into the LMS and increase participation everywhere. Right now, I think one of the biggest challenges with learning management programs that are not anything that's sort of outside that required core is getting learners to actually participate in them. But if you have them getting in a position where they're used to sort of coming to the system and used to getting their answers, they'll also start to be able to discover some of the other great work that you're doing. So Shay, any more questions come in before I move on?
Sorry, Caitlin. Yeah. There is a question from Jason about training, saying that they have hundreds of their own content pieces and articles and templates. When will that be available?
Uh, I'm available to use for the agent to reference.
Yes. For
Yeah.
content
Okay.
creation, we have the ability to upload your own materials,
Mhm.
and AI can create courses based on your company's own proprietary information. I guess for the learner agent, we are working on that, and it'll
Yep.
be available sometime in Q3.
Yes. Yeah. So that's true. So right now, the learner agent for course creators, you can upload your material and it will generate the course, the entire course, that somebody registers for and completes. For the learner agent right now, it's going to be leveraging information from the web. But the goal down the line is for it to also pull forward information and surface courses that already exist. So it'll kind of be two ways. One, it will either generate answers based on available material, or say, oh, hey, if this is what you're interested in, here's a full course that you can register for and take. So that the plan is to continue to expand it. Right now, it's leveraging the information that is available, the public available information through the LLM.
The other question, Caitlin, was about how can they sign up for a demo next week with Graham Glass.
Mm.
So we're going to be sending out an invitation sometime this week or early next week, and we're also going to make that available on the website. And we'll include the link in the replay of this webinar so that you can see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we'll get you that registration link either through, I'll be doing a follow-up email to everybody who registered for this session, and I'll include that link, and we will do an independent invitation for everybody. So you won't miss it. Don't worry. But I wanted to mention it so you could pencil it into your calendar for Thursday. All right. So what is the ROI on this solution for you by rolling out CYPHER Agent for Learners? Is the impact on your organization? Overall, of course, we know that building a strong learning culture really does increase the retention of employees. They've said LinkedIn survey has pegs at about 57% higher for organizations with a strong learning culture. And a solution like this, it really meets the personalized needs of the learners, really does communicate to them that you're serious about learning and you're serious about individual development, and it can contribute to that overall learning culture. The other advantage is that budget efficiency. As I mentioned, I have seen so many customers buy massive catalogs only to find that 5% of the courses get used because they're trying to meet and anticipate every possible question, and it's just impossible. Well, if you can generate that content on demand based on the individual, then you're going to be able to get a whole lot more efficient with your budget and actually get the information out to the people who want it. Then there's a safe usage. I found a fantastic report. I don't know if you can see in the corner, I do provide hot links to my sources. I found this incredible report. It was KPMG and University of Melbourne, Australia. It was a global report, had a ton of fascinating information in it. But one of the things that jumped out at me is that 56% of employees report having made a mistake at work because they relied on inaccurate information. And as I mentioned, one of the things we offer that none of the other AIs do, even other learning systems that are using AI, we have independent verification so that we can capture those errors and surface those conflicts, and really bring that down a lot. So there's a lot more confidence in the answers that you're going to get with our solution. So how would you promote adoption of a system like this? This is different. It's new and it can be something hard to communicate that message and hard to communicate value to people. But so there's a huge benefit to both your learners and you as administrators if you can get employees adopting a tool like this. So I just wanted to go through some key steps to promoting adoption of a new tool. And at the end of the guide, I do have some resources for you. So when you think about your users at work, I want you to think about two very distinct groups. Um, about 50% or more of your organization is very comfortable, maybe not very comfortable, but they're using AI. They're using ChatGPT in some form or another, or Copilot, or whichever one they've decided that they like. They're using it, may or may not be using it responsibly. They're probably certainly not double checking the answers that they get, but they're comfortable with it, and they're a fairly easy group to communicate the value of this because while it has increased value, it is not wildly different. On the other hand, though, you have these AI resistors. They either don't understand AI, they don't get how it applies to work, and they don't necessarily trust it. I know of one person who's actually worked in the tech space for a long time who really had a hard time understanding why he might find ChatGPT or something similar useful to him in his job. And it really took a little bit of coaxing and trying it for him to start to make connections about how it could be helpful. So you've got these two very distinct groups. This is from that report I mentioned earlier that was so interesting. That 50% number actually varies substantially depending on where you are in the world, which I also found really interesting. AI adoption is really high in some developing nations or developing economies, and quite low, about 30% in Japan, I believe was the one that scored the lowest. So there is a wide variety regionally, but you can still think of yourself having two very distinct user groups. However, you can still have a fairly streamlined message for both of them. And I think the first one you want to get out there is that this is an approved use of generative AI at work. If you choose to turn it on from your solution, you're able to send the message that we trust the information that comes out of here. We are comfortable with you using it and referencing it. We know that our data is going to be safe if you use it and your queries are going to be safe. And we know that the answers are being double checked and verified. So it is approved and it is okay to use. So then the next line is accurate. So again, we have that extra confidence, that extra layer of confidence that the information that you're going to get back has been verified. Unlike a single service AI solution, CYPHER Agent has multiple services independent of each other, cross-checking the information to make sure, or at least surface any discrepancies or any holes so that you can make an educated decision or do further research before you move forward. It's really easy. I mean, ChatGPT is easy. I think the answers that you're able to get out of Agent is even easier because, as you saw, that creates that beautiful structure, matrix, the content map, really rounds out the topic with no needs for any special prompts. It's just a very basic input, gets you a really well thought out response and comprehensive response. And of course, it's all tied to the account that they have already. No signing up for a premium service on any other service. And it's useful. It's going to give you an answer that's relevant to your job, who you are, your experience, anything you've asked it before or told it before. One of the things I'm sure Graham will show you, but one of the things you can do is say, please assume, I'd like all my answers in English, but please assume that English is not my first language. And it will adjust its content accordingly. Or I find it really easy to have examples that tie back to baking or gardening, or maybe that's just because it amuses me. You can give it that instruction and it will make those answers more relevant for you. Any information you can give it to provide more relevant answers, it will leverage and it will remember. So it's approved, it's accurate, it's easy, and it's useful. So just a couple of tips for a successful rollout. Those of you who've done change management and adoption before know that it's usually a little bit more of a couple more steps than this, but highlights. I really strongly recommend finding champions. And I don't mean finding learning champions in this case. I mean finding those people who you know are passionate about AI and think it's going to really change the way we work, and tap them and get them using it first. They will presumably, get excited about it and talk about it, and they can really, spread the message and share it. And it might also mean you get some new people into the LMS more often that aren't usually in there. Make sure you communicate to your learners when you are ready to roll it out. Let them know, how to use it. Again, that message that it is approved, it's easy, it's accurate, and it's personalized. And then provide them with an overview about how to use it. It's incredibly easy to use, but it's always nice to give people a quick step through so they know exactly where to look for it and what's going to happen. And then reinforce adoption. I usually call this or watch the numbers. And there's a couple things to watch here for the numbers. I think that one of the great benefits of this is you're going to get more insight into the things that your people want to learn about. You'll be able to see all those queries, and you can reinforce that by saying, hey, we saw an uptick in interest here. We thought we'd bring in an instructor to do, an afternoon hands-on session with this topic so that you can reinforce what you've learned. So that really, shows to them that there's value just not in getting their immediate questions answered, but you're watching it and make sure they're going to be able to develop even more. You can also watch the numbers and see, are there any pockets of the organization where people don't seem to be dipping in and you think it might be useful for them, and you can do a little bit more outreach to those particular groups and see what can help. So what I'd like to do in these sessions is not just throw a bunch of information at you. I also like to give you some resources. One we have is the agent walkthrough. This is CYPHER Agent for Learners. It's one of those interactive walkthroughs that we have. Here's the direct link for it. You will also find this particular walkthrough on our webpage for the Agent for Learners. So this is the direct link, and this will show people how to walk through it. I've included a handful of slides if you are an organization where you really need to make a business case for rolling out a new feature. I've included some executive slides here that you can use to pitch this to your leadership. And then I've included a couple of emails that you can use to introduce Agent to your learners. I did one for your champions, your early adopters, and it did one for the regular population. And if you download this deck after the session, we make this deck available alongside the recording. You will see those slides at the end of this. And that is all I have for you today. Shay, are there any more questions that have come in?
So far, no new
No?
questions.
Okay, that is what we have for you today. Like I said, stay tuned for the registration link for Graham's session. If you're not able to make it to Graham's session, that's fine. Again, we record all of these. We'll make the links available to you. If you register and don't attend, we will send you the follow-up email, which will have the link. So you'll get that kind of nudge on the back end and the links directly to your inbox. But if you don't, we still have the videos on our YouTube channel and on our webpage. Including this video. This video will also be posted there along with the deck. So I want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to join me today. I hope you're intrigued and excited about what CYPHER Agent for Learners can do for you. And I think you'll really enjoy Graham's session as he dives in a lot more deep into this because it is very, very cool.